Hey y'all, how you doing? Mike A-Tech here, voice talent, voice coach, photographer, videographer, jack of all trades. That's right, that's me. Back at you with another video to help you on your voiceover journey. So what's today's video about? Well, I've crossed over to the dark side. That's right, a lifelong Windows user has switched to Mac. Specifically today I want to talk about the M2 Mac Mini and why I switched to it and why I think it's a great computer for voiceover. Now, if you check here, you can see my previous video on what computer to use for voiceover. If you want to go ahead and check that out, that would be awesome. So what does it take to make a lifelong Windows user switch over to Mac? Well, when Apple released their own silicon, and with the M1 version, and all of the reviews came out and everybody was singing its praises, I started to take notice. Took me a little bit. It took me a long bit, because, I mean, they're at the M4 version with the iPad Pro right now. But I do a lot of research before I make any large purchases like that, and I encourage you to do the exact same thing. Don't do things on a whim. Don't just take one person's advice for anything. Don't take just my advice for anything. Get different opinions, get different examples, and do the research yourself. So that's what made me go with the M2 Mac Mini. Did a lot of research, watched a lot of videos, read a lot of reviews, and wanted to give it a try. I grew up, we were the first generation with broadband. The home PC market was exploding when I was getting a little bit older. We were getting hit with new technology left and right. We had all these new fangled computer gadgets and gizmos that do this and do that and go faster and burn CDs and burn DVDs and do this and that, and cell phones were coming out. So I grew up in that generation where we didn't have it, then we did have it, and now it's just, wow, it's awesome. All the technology, all the options that are out there are just incredible. So what made me switch? Well, I decided that I was going to give it a try. Now, I have tried, I tried the M1 Mac Mini about a year and a half ago. For some reason, at the time, I thought it really wasn't going to suit my needs. So I returned it back to Apple, and I got a Windows gaming laptop, and I used that for a long time. And in the video that I talk about what computer to use for voiceover, I mentioned that I use a Windows gaming laptop for work. I came across, on Amazon, of all places, it was one of the suggested, it was an M2 Mac Mini, but it had 16 gigabytes of RAM, as opposed to the 8 gigabytes in the M1 that I had before. And I think that's what my holdout was. I think that's what my problem was with the original M1 that I had, was that it only had the 8 gigabytes of system memory. For most people, it's probably enough, but I do a lot of photo work and video work, and it's a little bit more taxing on the system. So when the M2 with 16 gigabytes showed up in my Amazon suggested feed, I thought about it, and I said, what the heck, I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. If I don't like it, I can always return it. Amazon's great for that. Well, I can be honest with you. I fell in love with it. Now, I only got the 256 gigabyte SSD model because I didn't feel like spending any more money on that Apple tax for the increased SSD, the increased storage. So I got a USB-C dock that I was able to put a 1 terabyte SSD in, and I haven't had any issues. I don't have any storage issues whatsoever right now. It's great. It has taken everything I have thrown at it and not even hiccuped. It is great. It is fast. It is quick. It is responsive. It handles all the programs that I need to use. And for voiceover, the number one thing, it is dead silent. I have not heard a peep from this thing, except for that turning on chime that Apple has if I ever wind up restarting, which I don't do very often. I usually just leave it on and unlock it with my Apple Watch. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so this isn't going to be a tech review, okay? I'm not a tech review channel. I'm not a tech review guy. I don't have those skills. I'm a voice artist. I'm a photographer. If you want a tech review on the M2 Mac Mini with 16 gigabytes of memory, just do a YouTube search and you'll run across hundreds and hundreds of videos that will go over specs in minute detail. My entire purpose for this video is to let you know my thoughts after 6 months of having the M2 Mac Mini, how well it works for voiceover. And I can tell you, primo, it is fantastic. Now, I'm not sponsored by Apple. This video is not sponsored by Apple. Tim, if you happen to be watching, give your boy a call. I'll be happy to talk to you about it. But I can happily and highly recommend the M2 Mac Mini for voiceover work. And if you don't do photo work, if you don't do video work, if the only thing you use your computer for is recording and editing audio, surfing the web, answering emails, sending proposals, that kind of thing, the 8 gigabyte version would be just fine for you. I would, however, say get an external storage drive, get an external SSD that you can keep your work on so you have it as a backup, because 256 gigs really isn't a lot. In today's day and age, it's not a lot. Audio files aren't as big as video files, but still, they take up a chunk of space. So get yourself an external storage SSD for it. You'll be thankful. Now, since moving to the Mac Mini, I've really gone over to the dark side. I do have a MacBook Pro, I have an iPad Pro, I have an iPhone, I have an Apple Watch, I have an Apple TV. Probably going to wind up getting a couple of HomePods, maybe a few other things, maybe an Apple TV for my son's room. Yeah, I have. I've gone over to the dark side completely. Not asking for forgiveness from Windows or Microsoft. I'm not going to do it because I've fallen in love with the ecosystem. This isn't an ecosystem video. I am working on a video about all of my Apple products, why I use them, why I got them, and why I recommend them. That'll be coming up relatively soon. But I can say that it is, once you get into the Apple ecosystem and find out how easy it is to transfer files from one machine to another, from one device to another, from your phone to your iPad, from your iPad to your computer, and all the other perks that go along with the Apple ecosystem, like Apple Notes, which is a built-in program in Mac OS. I use that to write all of my YouTube scripts. I also use it for journaling, and I use it for other things. Reminders you can use for your daily tasks. Once again, this is not an Apple fanboy video or anything like that. I'm just saying this is how it works for me and how it has worked well and how I got sucked in to the Apple ecosystem. But I don't regret it. Okay, Apple products tend to cost a little bit more. There is the Apple tax that goes along with it. So I understand if you're a little bit reluctant to make the jump. That's one of the great things about the Mac Mini. It is the cheapest device that Apple offers. I think you can get it for like $600 now. That's not a bad investment. And if you buy it from reputable, from like Amazon or Best Buy, or heck, if you even get it from Apple, there are return policies. If you don't like it, if it doesn't work out for you, just return it within the specified amount of time and you get your money back. So while Apple is not a sponsor, as I've already said, I am going to highly recommend the M2 Mac Mini for voiceover work. Stick with the 8 gigabyte version if you're just doing emails, or audio and emails and web browsing, things like that, watching Netflix, watching YouTube videos, watching my YouTube videos. 8 gigabytes are going to do you just fine. If you start moving into photo work or video work, I would recommend going up to the 16 gigabyte version. Now, am I going to trade in my M2 Mac Mini for an M4 when it comes out? Probably not. The M2 is doing exactly what I need it to do. Every day, I walk into the studio, and it works. All I got to do is click on my mouse, my watch opens it up, it's ready to go. It's a fantastic thing. I love it. It's one of the greatest products that I've ever used. And as I said, I can highly recommend it. If you got anything out of this video, if you learned anything in this video, please give me a like, subscribe, share the channel to everybody. Believe me, it really does help the algorithm, and I appreciate it more than you guys could possibly know. I want my videos to get out to as many prospective voice talents or new voice talents, people that are trying to improve their skills or just want to learn something. I want to get as much information as I can out to everybody that I possibly can. And you're a big help in doing that if you like, comment, share these videos. I do appreciate it. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.